Deciding what kind of screw you need can feel like cracking a code, but today I'm going to help you make sense of it all. We'll go over imperial and metric sizes, the different head and drive types, and how to choose the right screw for your next woodworking project. You know that moment? You're standing in the fixings aisle at a hardware store, looking at boxes that say things like number 8 by 1.25 inch or 4 by 50, and your brain just goes blank. What do those numbers actually mean? What's the difference between Pozidrive and Torx? Don't worry, you're not the only one. I'm going to cover all the things you need to know to get the right screws every time, including something that even some experienced woodworkers don't know about. Let's start with imperial screws. Commonly used in the US and still found in the UK, but less and less often. You'll see numbers like number 6, number 8 and number 10. These refer to the gauge or thickness of the screw. The higher the number, the thicker and stronger the screw is. So a number 6 screw is quite slim, and these are great for lighter weight fixings like cabinet hinges. A number 10 is thicker and stronger, so it's good for heavy duty work like fixing timber frames. Then there's the length. That bit's simple. It's measured in inches and tells you how long the threaded part of the screw is. So if it says 1.25 inch, that's the part that will bite into your wood. Now let's flip over to metric. A typical metric screw might be labelled 4 by 50. 4 means it's a 4mm diameter screw, and the 50 is the length, also in millimetres. So that screw is 4mm thick and 50mm long. It's as simple as that. And once you get used to it, metric sizing is actually very easy to follow. Having said that, I grew up with imperial measurements and I still say I'm 6 foot tall, but I've only a very vague idea of what that is in millimetres. It's actually 1828.8. Told you it was simple. Size is one thing, but how are you going to fix it in place? The type of drive a screw needs can make a big difference to how well it goes in or strips out. You'll see flathead or slotted screws. These give a very traditional appearance, but the screwdriver can slip out very easily, although some people prefer their look. Phillips screws. This is the classic crosshead screw. These are cheap and widely available, but don't have a great grip on the screwdriver, so it can slip out, which is also called a cam out, and this can damage the wood, although they're much more stable than the slotted screws are. Pozidrive screws. These are similar to Phillips, but with extra little notches which give a better grip. They're also inexpensive and widely available. Torx screws. These have a 6-pointed star pattern, which holds the screwdriver bit very firmly, and so they're great for power tools. Then there's the Robertson or square drive screws. These were designed in Canada and are very popular over there. They have a tapered square shaped recess that gives excellent grip and resists cam out. They're great for cabinetry work and decking, but they are quite hard to find in the UK, although more common in the US, I understand. Robertson screws are particularly interesting because they're the same style used by many makers of pocket hole screws. Pocket hole screws have a square drive for maximum grip and typically feature either a pan head or a washer head. Both head types have a flat underside and a rounded top, designed to sit proud of the surface. This helps draw the two pieces of wood tightly together while reducing the risk of splitting, which is especially useful when you're driving in at an angle. Most woodworking screws are countersunk, meaning they have a conical shape designed to sit down into the wood, flush with or just below the surface, making them ideal for cabinetry and furniture. But other head types are worth knowing about too. Pan heads, round heads, oval heads and truss heads all sit above the surface and are commonly used when the screw will be visible or when attaching hardware or brackets. For woodworking, use countersunk screws where you want a clean, flush finish. Use pan heads or round heads when mounting fixtures or where appearance and surface grip matter. If you're still with me and you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button. It really does help out the channel. Here's another important distinction that often gets overlooked when purchasing screws, even by some experienced woodworkers. Some screws have an unthreaded section just below the head, whereas others are fully threaded all the way along. The first type are wood screws, made for fixing two pieces of wood together. That smooth part allows the screw to pass through and pull the first piece of wood firmly against the second, helping to create a tight joint. Fully threaded screws, which you'll often find in general purpose or construction ranges, are designed to either attach thin material, metal or plastic, where that clamping force isn't needed in quite the same way, or for use with construction materials. More on that in a minute. If you use a fully threaded screw expecting it to pull two pieces of wood together tightly, it might not work as expected. Instead of drawing the pieces together, the threads can bind up in the fibres in the top piece and leave a gap, or worse, split the wood. So which one should you use? For a clean, tight woodworking joint, go with traditional wood screws, the ones with the smooth shank. But if all you've got are fully threaded screws, don't worry. Drill a clearance hole in the top piece, just big enough for the screw to spin freely, so it only bites into the bottom piece. For example, if you're using a 4mm screw, a 5mm clearance hole in the top piece should just do the trick. Just be careful not to make it too tight or it won't pull the joint together properly. That said, for everyday woodworking, especially in softwoods like pine, general purpose screws are usually just fine. Drilling a pilot hole first will help reduce the risk of splitting, but if you're using kiln dried construction lumber, then even this will probably be okay. Oh, and if you want a nice finish, make sure you countersink the hole so the head doesn't tear the wood fibre as it seats in place. Alright, so how do you know which type of screw to use? Well, two things to think about: material thickness and the strength that you need. For thin sheet material like 12mm ply or MDF, something like a number 6 or M3.5 is usually enough. For heavier work, like attaching legs to a workbench, you want a beefier screw like a number 10 or an M5. And as for the length, a good rule of thumb is the screw should be long enough to go at least halfway into the second piece of wood, and ideally 2/3, but obviously not so long that it pokes out of the back. And if you're working with hardwoods, always pre-drill your holes to allow the screw to turn easier and prevent splits. Your wood and your wrists will thank you. Screw sizing doesn't have to be confusing. Now you know how to read both imperial and metric sizes and how to choose the right head and length, you'll save time, avoid mistakes and get a cleaner result on every project. So here's a few for you to try. I'll see you soon.